Mele Kaliki Maka, you shaggy goose egg boys.
You want to redo that? Oh. I was really hoping that you wouldn't. And I was getting really ready to sing along with you. And then you did this.
It's going to take like a full minute to get to the part I want to get to.
So are we just going to sit here and hope it's good? Or are we going to pass it along?
Nope. Hello, and welcome to Al Pacino's Prison Scene. This is the podcast where we look at movies that objectively have no deeper meaning. My name is Thomas, and my co-host is Jake. And that was Toad singing All I Want for Christmas Is You, because today it is the winter season, and we're talking about something.
I'm not having a good time already. I did not like
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So, Jake, do you want to do whatever you usually do at the beginning, even though I skipped over
What do I usually do? Yeah, you did. You skipped over it.
Like,
I don't even have anything. I do, but I don't. That's funny. My name's Mary.
Yeah.
What is another one? He says there, look, Russ, it doesn't go. You can't see it at the waist, or something. We probably just lost a lot of listeners.
I hope we did, but it's very much worth it because I love Toad.
I totally
disagree.
So,
shout out to the YouTube channel Melancholia.
I'm drinking.
We just lost a bunch of listeners because of that.
They were already gone.
So now we have no listeners.
We're negative listeners.
I got rid of your half, and you just got rid of my half. And now we have none. Except my dad, probably.
My mom, too, probably.
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Mom.
Okay.
Bye, Zach.
So it's Merry Christmas time. Or if you're not a Christian, then it's just regular holiday time. And for some reason, they keep playing Christmas movies on your television.
Well, is it? I don't think Christmas is a strictly Christian holiday anymore.
Well, that's problematic.
And maybe that's what we're going to talk about today. Who knows?
Well, I don't know where to get started. How do we usually start these podcasts?
Usually a recap.
Okay. So this movie starts and they're like driving. Actually, it starts with a cartoon Santa, and he's like having trouble doing stuff. What? It does.
He does, yeah.
But then the real world starts, and they're like, "We're gonna go get a tree," and the family's like, "We don't want to get a tree," and the dad's like, "Well, that's too bad. We're getting a tree." So then the dad uses his big
Clark Griswold. Everyone knows who Clark Griswold is.
And then the dad uses his big, strong arms off screen to rip the tree out of the ground because its roots. We saw his roots, so he definitely just ripped it out.
Yeah.
And then he takes the tree back to his house, and he puts it up in his house. And
his neighbors are like, "What are you gonna do with that, huh?"
Yeah. And then at some point, he puts lights on his house, but they don't work until later in the movie. And then they work. And then at some point, he goes to the store, and he's like, "I'm just looking at jewelry. Wow, you're hot, lady." And his son's like, "Yeah, he is hot." And then his dad's like, "Uh-oh."
Well, the dad's also like, "I don't have a wife."
Yes, he does say that. And then also all of his family is there because it's Christmas, and your whole family comes to your house for Christmas. But his wife was like, "We don't have to do this." And then he was like, "No, we have to do this. We're going to do this." And then Cousin Ed shows up, and he's like, "Cousin Ed, you can't be here." But then Cousin Ed is there. And then Cousin Ed's daughter's like, "Yeah, Santa doesn't like me." And then Clark Griswold's like, "Yeah, he does." And then he talks to Ed. He's like, "Man, you got to get your presents some kids." I know what I said. And then Ed's like, "Well, I can't." And Clark's like, "Okay, well, we will." But then also, while all this is going on, Clark
dog
has work. I'll get to the dog. Clark has work, and he's like, "Man, I really hope I get my bonus so I can get a pool. I'm working on this thing that Thomas doesn't remember what it is, so he's not going to say it. But he's working on this thing that's a food thing, I think." And
I
his
don't
boss
remember
is Bill
either.
Murray's brother. And Bill Murray's
Is that
brother,
true?
yeah, Brian Doyle Murray.
What?
Bill Murray's brother's like, hey, I'm not giving you Christmas bonuses. You're going to get a Jelly of the Month club. So they kidnap him at the end, but then he's like, no, it's my bad. I shouldn't have done that.
And then everybody was like, shame on you.
Yep. And then Jake also mentioned a dog. There's a dog at some point, and he hacks up a bone. His name is Snot. There's also a cat at some point. She gets electrocuted under the tree. There's also a squirrel at some point. The squirrel jumps on Elaine from Seinfeld.
Juliette Lewis,
Is the daughter.
which I have a strange
The
crush.
son is Leonard from Big Bang Theory.
Yo, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And that's the movie.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas. Have a good night.
One of my crushes is Juliette Lewis. I don't know why,
I see. Look,
especially from Cape Fear.
I haven't seen that. As a young person, I feel like if you were also a young person, she would be attractive in this movie. But I looked up a picture of her now.
And she is not attractive.
Her face structure is too pronounced, I think is what it is.
Let's see.
Because because I looked her up. Because I also watched, over the summer, I watched Natural Born Killers, which apparently she's also in. But I didn't recognize her. Her face is just very pronounced. And so I don't know.
How you spell her name? Juliette.
That is very bright.
Lewis. It is.
Bright?
Oh, is that what you said? Her face is pronounced, bro. Where are her cheeks? They're inside of her mouth.
Where are your cheeks?
They're sticking out, maybe.
Okay. So then after the recap is when we start talking about meaning, right?
Yeah.
All right, so this is a Christmas movie because it's set at Christmas and it comes on TV a lot at Christmas.
Just like Die Hard.
When we were discussing movies to do for this podcast, this was the first Christmas movie I brought up. And then after that, I was like, well, we should do an anti-Christmas movie. But after watching this now...
This is an anti-Christmas movie!
Yeah.
Awesome.
Which
I'm glad that we...
I wasn't expecting that watching it, but it very much is. Because I also told Jake before we watched it that we should try to not do any typical Christmas meanings. Like, the It's a Wonderful Life things or the Santa Claus with an E.
Every time an angel dies, a bell gets rung.
But
or whatever
I honestly don't think there's any of those typical traditional Christmas meanings in this movie.
Well, I think that actually the film subverts every single one of those.
Probably for the most part. There's even one point where It's a Wonderful Life is on the TV.
Yes.
Because Russ is watching it. And I haven't seen that movie.
It's the end of the film, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't seen that movie. I'm familiar with what happens in it. So I very much feel like that this movie and those movies are the anti versions of each other.
Yeah. No, and I agree that it's anti-Christmas, but I kind of want to take it further and say maybe it's anti. I don't want to say tradition, but that's kind of what I mean. Anti-tradition, these societal expectations of holidays should look like.
Okay, I can see that. Kind of playing off that. One thing I wrote down is that this movie is essentially the embodiment of Murphy's Law. It's a very merry Murphy's Law Christmas is what this movie is. And so if those of you aren't familiar with the term Murphy's Law, I'm also not entirely familiar with it, and I may be saying that wrong, but I think it's Murphy's Law. But that's basically the idea that everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that in this movie, pretty much everything that can go wrong does go wrong. But part of that is because Clark has such high expectations for the Christmas and the event as a whole that the event could never possibly live up to his expectations.
See, I don't even know if I would call it an expectation. It's kind of just forcing it into existence.
Yeah.
I thought you would say more to that.
Nope.
So yeah, I mean, expectation kind of infers that I guess you expect it to happen, but Clark is putting everything into place so that it can happen. Okay, so maybe the expectation is not I'm trying to think of how to word this because I think I'm probably going to sound stupid.
Well, you probably already sound stupid. So
well, the expectation is not the end result, but rather the feeling that they're searching for. That he's
It's not
searching
about
for.
the destination; it's the journey.
But like like when you drink, it's one of those things. What movie was it? Oh, Mom and Dad, where she drinks the coffee and she's like, and there's a certain feeling associated with that instance. So it's not the expectation of sipping the coffee, but it's the expectation of the feeling that it presents. And so, like, Clark is not searching for everybody being there, but he's searching for, what does he say? He says, like, the first time he says, like, he's expecting, like, a big Christmas. It's that kind of, like,
Well, it's like
feeling.
the first time that it's been at their house. I think.
Yeah, well, they're in bed, and he's saying, like, well, I just want everybody to have a huge Christmas. And the wife's like, oh, we don't need that. He's like,
Is
yes,
this when
we
his
do.
hands are sticky?
Yes, after the tree.
Which I hope they actually made his hands sticky, and that they actually got stuck to her hair.
I hope so, too.
And then it pulled on her head really hard.
And then she lost all her hair.
Yeah. Which, fun fact, in every one of these vacation movies, the kids are played by different actors.
Yes.
Which is weird.
Yes. It is weird. But it's true.
So I think the Murphy's Law sentiment, I've out of the franchise, I've only seen this one and probably like 3/4 of European Vacation.
Yeah, I think those are the two biggest ones.
I may have seen the end of the first one at some point.
Which one is that?
It's just called Vacation,
okay.
And they go to Wally World.
Oh, I've seen parts of that one.
But I think like the Murphy's Law thing could kind of like go throughout the franchise, and part of that is because it's a comedy franchise.
Yeah,
and so like when things go wrong, it's like whoa,
it's funny.
Yeah. But if this was like the real world, then like he has all these plans, but they all get dashed. And oh my god, there's something I wrote down at some point about that Clark said. Oh, okay. Oh, but it's something the wife says to Clark. She says, "I know you build things up in your mind. You set standards that no family could live up to." And then Clark's like, "Well, when have I ever done that?" And then she lists off like 5 examples of times when he's done something.
This is in
like
bed,
that.
right?
I don't remember. Probably. That sounds right. And then he just basically ignores her.
And then says, "Good night, sweetie."
Yeah. And then gets stuck to the lamp.
Yeah.
But I think that same attitude is seen in the other movies, is because he had like everything has to be perfect according to his plan.
Yeah.
Or it won't be a good family holiday. Like at the end, when everyone tries to leave, and this is a long quote, I'm not going to say the whole thing, but he's basically like, nobody's leaving, nobody's getting out of here. This is going to be a good, fun, old-fashioned family Christmas. He's basically like, you're going to stay here and you're going to like it, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out number one, this was after he received the Jelly Bean Club thing. It's like directly after that.
Jelly of the Month
Club. And I think it's important to note that specifically the word old-fashioned Christmas or whatever that is. Because for some reason, there is this sentiment and like this nostalgia of like back in the old days, everybody, the whole entire family gathered around and opened presents or whatever. But like I can't, and this movie's older than me, so I can't necessarily say this, but like when did that ever happen? I mean, the only example I could see is A Christmas Carol. But even that is like this heightened sense of like tradition and sentimental feeling.
Well, and it could be just like that the Christmas media, like A Christmas Carol, has put in this idealized notion into people's heads that Christmas can be this perfect thing that Clark wants it to be, even though perhaps that never actually ever existed.
Well, yeah, and I totally agree with that. And I think that my point goes even further is when he's in the attic and he's watching those old tapes. That those are from like previous Christmases, and when it was previous Christmases, it was only like them. It was only them and their family, and that was it. Their immediate family, and that was it. And he was so much happier then. Like he's even crying while he's sitting in the attic.
Well, part of that I think is just like when you're a kid, you only experience all the good things about Christmas. It's like waking up on Christmas morning, you have all these presents for you. You're like, wow. But then, like, as an adult, you got to deal with, everybody coming together. You got to deal with getting all the presents. You got to deal with, like cleaning up and like everything. You have to deal with a lot more problems that you didn't even realize they were there.
Yeah.
When you were a kid. And like this is also at the end of the movie, Clark's talking to his dad, and I think he asks him basically, you always had like these perfect Christmases growing up. Like, how'd you do that? But then the dad's like, you just corked it up, but it's okay. Like that happens.
Yeah.
Because like I did that too. You probably just didn't notice.
So then like kind of like ignorance in a sense. Just like not knowing that these problems exist until you go through them yourself.
Yeah. Well, and then actually, since you say that, there's a Bible verse I wrote down, which is in relation to a different part of the movie, but it's applicable to what you just said. And this is not the version I usually read, but it's the version that popped up first when I Googled it.
Okay.
So it's Matthew 7:3-5. It's the verse about how I'm about to read it, but it's the verse about how like you shouldn't judge other people before you know what to judge about yourself.
Oh, is it before you take out the log in your own?
Yeah.
Before you take out the speck in your brother's eye, look at the log in your own eye?
Yeah, but this version says, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye when all the time there is a plank in your own eye, you hypocrite? First take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye.
Shout out to me right quick for knowing that. I didn't know the whole verse.
I thought you were about to say shout out to the Bible.
Shout out to the Bible and shout out to Jeebus. Happy birthday. How old are you? How old is he?
Jesus?
2020, I guess. Is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I don't know.
2019 maybe?
2019, what I'm going to say.
But yeah, and that. So you're saying it is applicable for the most part, yes. Although that verse is kind of dealing with like malice and stuff and like flaws. Although it does kind of have the same like meaning and ideology behind it, where like Clark is seeing. It may be a bit of a reversal with that though. Maybe reversal is not the word, but Clark isn't seeing the speck in his father's eye. It's that he's not seeing the speck. And so he is, like you said, he's remembering what it was in his, when he was young, but he didn't see all the problems. And now that he's old, he is seeing the problems.
I don't think what you just said makes sense in relation to the speck. But the reason I wrote that quote down, or that verse down, is because throughout the movie, like I already mentioned the quote where he's talking to his wife, but then later Russ says something to him that's basically the same thing. So like throughout the movie, Clark is trying to plan this thing, and then people are telling him like, you can't do that. He's like, yeah, sure I can. So the reason I wrote that down is not that Clark is like trying to judge other people, but it's just that he doesn't know his own imperfections.
Okay. Then yes. Okay, I got you. Then.
That was the reason I wrote it down. I just thought it applied to what you were saying. Say something.
Me? Okay. Well, I want to keep going on that trail, but I don't have anything written down that associates with that.
Okay.
But I do agree with what you said. And I kind of want to. Well, let's keep it specific for now. So we're talking about like how this idealized version of Christmas, and I think it's most poignantly brought to our attention when everyone is arriving and there's all this arguing and stuff. You know what I'm talking about?
You talking about when the grandparents get there?
Yes. And Juliet Lewis is like, man, I don't want Russ to sleep with me. That's weird. Don't you see that? And then the dad's like, rah, 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 rah. Ed's not there yet. And then it gets quiet because he's like, oh, I guess I'll go park the car. Clark is like, I'll go park the cars. And then he's like, isn't it the best Christmas ever? What did you say? He says, this is what Christmas is all about.
Yeah.
So again, he's kind of like forcing this ideological like Christmas and enduring through this pain.
What is that really like? What is he referring to there? Just the fact that they're all together?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
So I think he says that a few times, but he's probably, if he says it repeatedly, then it's probably more likely that he's trying to convince himself that everything's okay.
Yes, and I agree with that, and that maybe well, and this is I'm going to use this as an analogy. It's not one to one, but like the idea with like self help and stuff. Like if you say to yourself like I'm okay, eventually you're going to believe it. You
Yeah.
know, or like let's say you need to work out and you go like you say to yourself I like working out, saying it over and over, trying to convince yourself that you do. But at the end, and we'll throw this back to How to Train Your Dragon. At the end of the day, if that isn't true, then telling yourself doesn't make it true. You're only lying to yourself, and there will always be that part of you that doesn't believe it. And I think that that's why he breaks down after the
Jelly of the month thing.
jelly, yeah, because according to what Christmas is all about, that wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
And so, if that were true, if he truly believed that Christmas was just about having everyone there and having a family together, then he wouldn't have been so upset about the Jelly on the Club.
Yeah. Well, I think part of that is, which I can speak to having a breakdown because I had a breakdown this morning.
About?
It wasn't about anything in general, but
Okay.
I wrote down that basically the reason breakdowns happen is because you like if you repress your emotions and don't like acknowledge them, then at some point something will happen, and it doesn't even really have to be related at all. But at some point something will happen that just sets you off, and then it's basically like you've been building up a dam this whole time, and then all of a sudden the dam just breaks, and then all the water comes flooding out. So like throughout the movie, Clark is trying to convince himself that this is the perfect family holiday.
Yeah.
Even though his wife and kids are like, Dad, that's not possible. You can't do this. And he's like, no, it's going to be fine. But then as soon as he gets the Jelly of the Month Club, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. That's a good phrase.
There you
go. And then it just all comes out then. And so the message there is just breakdowns in general is like, don't build up your emotions and stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah, and like don't
let them out.
Freaking lie to yourself, man. And I think in real life we can see this through like Hannah, or what is her name? Miley Cyrus. Is that her real name? That's her real name, right?
Not Hannah Montana.
Is her real name?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, we see Hannah Montana when her contract was up with Disney, how she went like.
Well, and that's true about a lot of. I think part of that is just like being a child star in general.
I'm drinking.
I think a lot of that is just being a child star. See if you can guess what's in Jake's cup, by the way. I don't even know.
Liquid?
I'm giving him a look. I think that's just like child stars in general, though. It's like not specifically Hannah Montana, but it does speak to that same point.
And kind of this repression of like a real identity.
Yeah.
Being controlled by.
Well, and if you start acting from a young age, obviously I'm not a child actor, so I can't truthfully speak to this. But if you start acting from a young age, you will have trouble knowing who you really are. And like then once you get to a point where you're not acting anymore, but that's all you've ever known, then you're like, well, then what am I?
Well, and this is where it kind of becomes, for me at least, not necessarily an anti-Christmas movie, although it is, but more of like an anti-ideological life movie. Like one that tries to say, hey, you don't need this perfect life to be happy. Which is a bit ironic, again, considering what he has said Christmas is all about. Because in the beginning of the movie, he's talking to someone, I don't remember who, but he's like, yeah, I already put down a direct deposit to get this pool done, which all hinges or is it contingent on the fact that he receives that bonus check.
Yeah. It's one of the other coworkers who is in Breaking Bad and played the husband of Frances McDormand in Raising Arizona.
Oh, okay.
I looked him up because I knew he looked familiar.
Okay.
All right, so somehow I just forgot what you said, but I know that this was related.
Okay.
Close to the beginning of the movie, this is when he's like Clark is trying to pass that other guy.
The very beginning of the movie. Yeah,
and then he says, "I'm in complete control," and then right after that, is when he drives under the 18-wheeler. Yeah. So that I think perfectly sets up his character like throughout the whole movie, is that he's, as we already said, he's convincing himself that he's in control, yet everything around him is going awry.
But yeah, and I want to ask the question, like, why is he so bent on passing that truck? Why is it so important that he does?
He's just prideful, man.
And there you go. And that's the character flaw here.
That's one of the 7 deadly sins.
This is a Shakespearean tragedy, everybody. Clark has a what is it called? Fatal flaw, I think.
Which
he doesn't die, but
speaking of that pride, so as we were recording this, I edited the Talladega Nights episode earlier today. And if you've listened to that episode, you know that we say a lot of stuff about America and pride.
Yeah.
So in this movie, there's 2 significantly American moments, and they both have to do with the senile aunt or grandma or whatever.
Yes.
When they're supposed to be praying, she says the Pledge of Allegiance. And then at the end of the movie,
when everything has gone to shit,
and Clark is like, this is the real meaning of Christmas, and she starts singing the Star Spangled Banner. So what I think, obviously that's funny.
Yeah.
But I think what that could be saying is talking about how America is appropriating Christmas to where, as you said earlier in the episode, how it's no longer like just a Christian holiday. Like, sure, that's fine, whatever. But the original meaning of Christmas is related to the birth of Christ.
Right.
And now it's basically just become this commercial thing where everyone's got to make the most money. And that's why companies, this is even seen with like the Christmas bonus, is like he cut out the bonus so that he could make the most money.
Right.
So,
and I think we kind of lose a little bit of this meaning where he does end up giving him a bonus, but I think that's a necessity in order to create a solid film, or at least a solid ending.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, that is kind of Clark's goal.
At the end is like they're looking at the star or whatever, and then Clark is like, he says a bunch of stuff, and then he says, this is what Christmas is really about. But then he doesn't say what it's about. So I was like, what are you talking about, dude? He's like, it means something different to everyone else, and now I know what it means to me. But he doesn't tell us. And I'm from watching the movie, I didn't gather what it meant to him. Well, but also, right after that, the guy who's wearing a wig or a toupee, I don't know his name, Uncle someone.
Ed?
No. The old guy. You know what I'm talking about?
Bill Murray's brother?
No, he's wearing a toupee.
Oh, wait, the guy, his neighbor.
No.
Oh.
It's his uncle married to like the crazy senile lady.
Oh, the cigar guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he's
okay.
that's not a star. That's from the fuel line or whatever. And then Clark's like, fuel line? He's like, get away from the sewer. And then the sewer blows up. And then Santa shoots off. And then it's like this big fireworks display.
Dude, you know why? It's all just a shit show, man.
This statement's gonna give me some flack, all right?
That was pretty good.
You ready?
Give me that. It was pretty good. Come on.
Christmas is a shit holiday. That's why I didn't respond to what you said.
Okay.
I was about to say that. So you may not like that I just said that sentence, and I'm okay with that. But there was poop in the drain, and like there was like poop company that made the Starfly, and they confused that for Christmas. And it's right after Clark has become satisfied and with his place, although it is only because he got the check.
Right.
It's right after Clark has become satisfied in his place is when it all goes to shit because of shit.
Well, it's when it all becomes.
So I think that was intentional.
It all succumbs to this commercialism, I think, is what.
I thought you were about to say the commercial break. I was like, well, that wasn't in my movie.
Let's do the wiener dog transition.
Wiener Dog, Wiener Dog.
Which
if you haven't watched Wiener Dog, go watch Wiener Dog on Amazon Prime, and you will definitely regret it.
Greta Gerwig, a fantastic screenwriter, and Danny DeVito's in it also. So check that out.
Kieran Culkin is in it. Macaulay Culkin.
Oh, brother. That's right. He is. Which is what's his name in Scott Pilgrim vs. World?
Fight! He's that guy. He's the roommate.
He's the gay. Lewis?
He's the roommate.
Hold on, I gotta figure this out now.
Don't call him the gay. He's the roommate.
We gotta take a pause now because I gotta figure this out. What's the what I just say?
Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Pilgrim. Or if you want to look up the Mad parody, it's Snot Pilgrim
versus the World. Which there is an original ending. The one that we see is the alternate ending.
Yeah, I talked about that before on this podcast.
Did you?
Yeah.
When?
Because he goes with Ramona.
I don't remember you saying that. Where's he at? Wallace Wells.
Well, anyways, back to whatever we were talking about.
I was gonna say something. Oh no, yeah. And I think this is probably gonna make some of our listeners upset too. Is that like,
all right? Just be prepared for every sentence we say to get you upset from now on.
Is I think that all holidays are kind of shit. Because in my opinion, they're almost all like major commercialized holidays, not necessarily all like tiny holidays, like Martin Luther King Day. Woo, you know.
Mother's Day's pretty good.
Yes.
Hey, Mom. Sorry, I always forget about Mother's Day. I love
you, Mom. Well, and Father's Day.
I know. I never forget about Father's Day because it's after Mother's Day.
Is it?
Yeah. So, like, I forget about Mother's Day, and I'm like, all right, I can't forget Father's Day.
and you're like, okay.
So every year I forget Mother's Day, but I never forget Father's Day.
For me, it's the opposite. It's like, oh, well, Mother's Day is gone. I guess that's it. I don't have a father.
Father's Day is in June, and Mother's Day is before that.
Is it March, maybe?
I don't.
Well, yeah.
Better at than I would say.
But I think all holidays are shit. Major holidays are shit because they are like super commercialized and like the meaning is lost. And like you're saying, like the moment that Clark succumbs to this commercialism is when it goes kablooey and gets real stinky. I agree.
And another thing about like all holidays is part of that. Oops, sorry, I just kind of punched the microphone. All right, they just hit it too. Now I'm gonna have that. That means it peaked, and I'm gonna have to edit this. Real tough, baby. Oh, I thought you were about to hit it again.
No.
I was about to hit you. No, I was leading up to something.
Oh, sorry.
It's because that part of the reason the holidays are to where they are now is because a lot of people hold them to like such a high standard like Clark does.
Well, yeah,
that they can't achieve that. So right now I'm going to say a quote from The Flash, which I use to live my life pretty regularly.
The CW first 3 seasons are good. Everything else is bad.
This is from one of those bad seasons.
Oh.
Captain Cold actually says this. He says, and they're talking about robbing a heist, but it's very applicable to life. You got to make a plan, stick to the plan, expect the plan to go wrong, and improvise.
Oh. I think I know that one.
So I think that's the problem is a lot of people make like it's okay to make a plan. It's good to have a plan because if you don't have a plan, then you're just going to be lost.
Well, what's the Robert Frost? Is it Robert Frost?
Is that the 2 words diverged and I took the one that's traveled by?
Yes, but it's also the of mice and men. What is it? The very best plan. The best.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
No, you
because that's like the Salisbury Hill or whatever that's called. That's not the right name of it. Because my dad knows. Dad, tell me what it is. What was I talking about?
The best laid plans of mice and men often go awry.
Well, see, and then like this goes back to the Murphy's Law thing I was saying earlier. But
it's Robert Burns.
So
drinking.
Tell me what's in his cup. I want to know. Tweet us at Al Pacino at Twitter.
Nice.
So like you gotta make a
plan.
You gotta make a plan, and then the problem is once people can't make it past the second step. They make the plan, they stick to the plan, but then once the plan goes wrong, they don't know what to do because they forget to improvise.
Ooh, Thomas. Which, if you have you seen Parasite? You've seen Parasite, right? We watched it together.
Yeah.
Parasite. Fantastic film by Bong Joon-ho. You should absolutely check it out. That is an
it's on Hulu.
That is a film nerd. How do we insult ourselves? That's a film thought nerd film.
It's a cinephile movie.
It's a cinephile movie, yeah. But basically one of the huge messages in that is to never make
rocks are metaphorical.
That rocks are metaphorical, yes. But also to never make plans because the moment you make plans, they are going to go wrong.
See, but that also is inherently problematic because I used to think that way that like why should I make a plan if it's just going to go wrong?
Well, I do want to get to that,
but it's good to have a plan because if you don't have a plan, then you have no guidelines and you're aimless.
So that is a very interesting paradox. Is that the plan can only go wrong if you have a plan. So,
but the key to succeeding is to, as I said, you have to improvise once the plan goes wrong. And a lot of people struggle with that because if they're like Clark, then they're a perfectionist to some degree. And then once it doesn't go the way they planned, they don't adapt. They just keep going down the same path until it gets the way that they want it to be. And this is most evidently showcased, I think, with the lights on the house.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they don't work at first, and then he like stays up all night checking all the bulbs to see if they'll work, and then he like tries unplugging it and plugging it back in. When really all he had to do is flip the switch in the garage.
Yeah.
Which he actually never does. His wife does, and fixes it.
Well,
and so if he would have, instead of being like, "What's like, hey, I need to fix this," if he would have just like took a second and thought, then he would have realized that he needed to go and flip the switch, and it wasn't anything wrong with the bulbs or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and like
which also I feel really bad for like the PA or whoever had to staple all those lights to the house.
Oh no,
because those were a lot of lights.
Oh no, and like what you're saying is the first thing he does is check the bulbs,
which he already did.
Right. Well, no. That's what I'm saying. The first thing he did was check the bulbs. And so then he put them all up, and then he checked the bulbs again. So he didn't do anything different at all.
Which also, so when he's on the ladder and he like falls back and then pushes back against the tree, that was like, he was definitely actually doing that. Do you think they had like a mattress on the floor under him when they were filming it?
No,
or were they just like,
Chevy Chase
if he falls, he falls. If he dies, he dies. Where's that from?
I don't know.
Oh, it's from Rocky IV.
Okay.
It's Ivan Drago. He says, if he dies, he dies. That's supposed to be Russian, by the way.
Yeah. It sounded kind of like a muscular British guy.
Which, if you've seen Rocky IV, then you know that there's a robot in that movie.
I have not.
And Sylvester Stallone is planning on re-releasing it without the robot. So we need to cancel Sylvester Stallone so that does not happen.
Is Real Steel a direct sequel to Rocky IV?
Maybe.
Because if there's a robot, who's to say that?
But because the robot's also not in the either two movie after Rocky IV.
What?
So maybe he left.
There's more Rockies? How many Rocky? Oh, Creed?
No, there's 6 Rocky movies and then there's 2 Creed movies.
What?
There's Rocky 1, there's Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, Rocky 5, and then Rocky Balboa.
Yo, hold up. Yo, the robot in Rocky 4 is Adam.
What? Adam?
Yeah, from Real Steel.
Oh, I don't remember anything about Real Steel.
And then that's how he ended up in the junkyards because Rocky.
Well, he lost a lot of weight after Rocky 4 because and also that robot was a girl, I think.
Well, we don't assign genders to robots, Thomas. That's
okay.
Insensitive. What were we talking about?
Can y'all hear the blanket? Tweet at us, me or him, if you can hear the blanket. That doesn't even make sense there, me or him. All right. Anyways, I don't know.
I was gonna say something
about Rocky.
Well, I was gonna say something.
Welcome
kind
to
of
our
like
podcast, Rocks on Rocky. I don't know what that means.
Rocks on Rocky.
Yeah.
And Bullwinkle. Rocks on Rocky.
And they drink out of moose cups.
Rocks and Rocky on Bullwinkle.
On the rocks.
On the rocks with Rocks and Rocky and Bullwinkle.
There we go.
On the rocks with Rock and Rocky and Bullwinkle.
The Boo Boo Boys are back, barring barometric balloons bursting bombastically.
Well, today's daily Al Pacino word of the day is
dichotomy.
No, we gotta think of a different one.
Pacino.
No.
Podcast.
Oh, what did I say earlier? What word? Ideology.
Look it up. Tell me what it means.
Hashtag Al Pacino. Think about it. I was gonna mention like the philosophy of like nihilism and like why do anything if nothing matters, and so that's kind of what I wanted to. Ah!
The computer almost took a drink.
Nihilism and like how nihilism is basically nothing matters, and so then you have 2 outcomes with nihilism: is either nothing matters and you do something about it, or nothing matters and you don't do anything about it and you kind of just wallow in self-pity, which I've mentioned before, so I'm not going to go into it. Anyway, the same kind of principle applies here. It's like if plans always go wrong, then what's the point of making them? And then you justify that by saying like, well, you need a plan so you have a guideline.
Bro, this movie came out the same year as Tim Burton's Batman. That doesn't sound
1989?
Right. Yeah.
Wait, Tim Burton had a Batman?
Yeah, he had 2. The Michael Keaton Batman is Tim Burton.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's why it's so dark and gothic.
Oh, dang. I have it on VGA, so maybe I'm going to watch that.
Okay.
I don't remember what we were talking about.
We're
talking about the lights.
That's probably our catchphrase.
And then I don't remember what we were talking about.
What were we talking about? I fell out of bed. If you know what movie that's from, you're a real Shaggy Goose Egg boy.
What movie is that from?
Oh, Jake's not a real Shaggy Goose Egg boy.
No, is that a movie we've done?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know?
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, good. $10 to anyone who can get that hashtag Al Pacino. The lights. I want to say something about the lights. Is that
the lights,
daylight
in the city. We should start a karaoke podcast. Take that, James Corden.
Does he have a podcast?
No, but he does carpool karaoke.
Oh, that's not a podcast, so
Could be.
I guess you're right. No, Cats is a podcast though.
Meow.
It needs to be. God, that movie's horrible.
The new one?
Yes. Anyway, the lights. So Clark, the first time Clark wants to turn on the lights, like literally everybody is out there, which I think again kind of goes to that idea that we've been saying, like, or that I've been saying at least, or well, no, that like everything has to be perfect and like he has this view of like what Christmas should look like, blah 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 blah, and so everybody's out there and the lights don't turn on. And everybody's like, "Oh, you suck." And then
his parents are like, "It's okay, you tried.
We know what it's like to suck." And then later, his wife does it and whatever, and the lights do turn on. And I think that that's symbolic of like both of subverting those expectations of what Christmas should look like, but also hinting at like you don't need this huge idealized Christmas and this huge party and family to have a good time. Because at the end of the day, and the lights themselves are representative of that, the amount of lights that are on there, they don't look good. There's just an insane amount of them.
Although that might be my favorite part in the movie because of how many times the neighbors fall down.
What is it? Nuclear backup on?
Yeah.
But yeah, like the number one, the amount of lights, but then number two, like they don't turn on, and then they do turn on when nobody's there, and then they kind of just sit in the moment with the lights on and just kind of bask in its glory, which is such a more sentimental and like intimate moment than if everybody would have been there. And so maybe that's speaking to like.
So I mean, hey, talking about sensual, it's like I was telling one of my friends earlier today. All of your parents fornicated.
Who were you telling that to?
Don't worry about it.
Will you tell me later?
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to whoever that is.
I don't think she listens to this.
Oh, so okay.
Bum, 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 bum.
Well,
I'm glad you knew what that was.
Huh?
I said I'm glad you knew what that was.
Oh, okay, good. I don't actually. I just know the sound effect.
If you know what that is, tweet at us.
$10. Hashtag Al Pacino. So yeah, it kind of implies that not only is big bad, but small is good. In terms of like, well, like it's when there's a bunch of people, you can't form an intimate connection with anybody.
Oh, less is more. That's what you're saying.
Yes, big is bad, small is good.
Oh, when you said big bad, I thought you were talking about like like
the wolf.
Well, yes, but also like, and they say the big bad was talking about the villain of the movie. Like Thanos is the big bad of Avengers.
Is that a thing? Who says that? I guess I'm not a real
like movie
film person.
Yeah.
Which
talking about movies, you're like the big bad. Or it's also like in a
I
TV
just say
show,
the bad guy.
In a TV show, the big bad is like the overarching villain of the season.
Like the Demogorgon.
Well, I would say Stranger Things had a overarching villain. It was just kind of like weird stuff going on. Weird stuff. That should be our spoof of Stranger Things.
Weird stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Coming next fall. Weird stuff. That's gonna be our
weird stuff theme song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dang, I actually want to do that. Anyway, what else you got?
Well, I mean, like basically everything I have, it just relates to everything we've already said. But like, one thing I wrote down is when close to the beginning of the movie, this is when they're getting the Christmas tree. The daughter is like, I'm freezing. My feet are falling off or whatever.
Are we there yet?
And then Clark's like, it's all part of the experience. And what I took that to mean is he's referring to life in general. As in, you have to take the good with the bad because it's all going to come no matter what.
Yes. Well, and I think that goes to, like, the good is the bad, because without bad there is no good.
Big
Because
is
then
bad, small is good.
that's right. Because at the end of the day, if everything is good, then nothing is bad. Then everything just becomes existence,
Yes.
which is futile.
And then the other thing I have is, which again, this plays into what we've already said this episode, but everyone wants what they can't have, and everything Clark wants is unattainable. The reason he doesn't like Cousin Ed is because Ed brings him back down to reality.
Yeah. Yeah, which is an interesting concept that, like, expands into everything. Really, is that we always want what we can't have, and I think this kind of presents an idea of, like, fulfillment. Is that if you can get this impossible thing, then you have succeeded. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but then even then, like most people, once they get the things that they can't have, then they after like a couple of days they don't want it anymore because then they
Well, right,
have it.
because we don't actually want it.
We just want
we
it because
just-
it's out of reach.
Right, we just want it because we think that this will help us. It's this classic trope. It's the classic revenge trope. How, like, revenge is never what you think it is. It never helps. And I think the same thing kind of applies here. Is that, like, Clark is so he wants this so bad, right? And then he gets it, and then we see Santa go up and poop. So in reality, we see at the end of this movie that Clark does get what he wants. But again, this is a film, and I think that ending was necessary in order to make money, because this is definitely not an art house film.
Which also, Bill Murray's brother, Brian Doyle Murray, is the voice of Captain Knuckles in The Misadventures of Flapjack.
I love that show.
He's also in Caddyshack, I think, but I don't know who he plays.
Oh, I thought.
Oh,
I
no,
thought you
he's in
said-
Groundhog Day. He's like the mayor.
I
in
thought you said
Groundhog Day.
Shag.
That too.
That's an Austin Powers movie.
I'm in that movie. It's my shack. I'm the Shag in the shack. He's like an off-brand Bigfoot. We couldn't get the rights to Bigfoot.
Oh, okay. So
we
you have to go with Shag.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's because he looks like a shag carpet. You know.
Okay. You know what? Okay. I'll leave.
Look it
there.
up. It's real.
Okay. All right. He has an IMDb credit for it. I have seen it, but I think he's confused about what movie
But-
he shot.
Also, only those of you who have clearance can see it. So if you can't see it, you just don't have clearance.
How do you get clearance?
You just gotta be good.
At
You just gotta be good. If you don't got it, you're not good.
so if they don't have clearance, that means they're bad.
Yep.
Does that mean they're big?
Yep. As big is bad and small,
Small
is
is
good.
good. You're absolutely right. Well, I guess I'm right because I said it. The only other thing I have that kind of presents, again, what we've just been establishing is that Clark has this idealized version of Christmas. There's the word of the day, Daily Al Pacino daily word of the day today is idealism.
That's not what you said earlier.
And that Clark in the beginning is like, he's trying to sing and he's trying to be happy, happy, happy. And the kids
No, he
are
says
like,
happiest Christmas.
no, that's at the end.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the beginning.
Happy is Duck Dynasty.
Happy. Let me tell you something, Jack. I'm talking about the beginning of Thomas. So shut up.
Well, Duck Dynasty wasn't invented yet.
Not that we know of.
Ducks weren't invented yet. That's why there's a squirrel.
Oh, because there's no ducks.
Yeah.
I didn't know ducks were in trees.
Yeah.
Oh.
Where do you think they came from?
Well, I would have said grass.
Nope.
Trees?
Yep.
Okay. But
Ducks are the monkeys of the bird world.
Chicken of the sea.
What?
Chicken of the sea.
Okay. Is that the name of our restaurant?
Chicken of the sea?
Yeah.
No, they're... What'd you say the ducks were?
The monkeys of the birds world.
Monkey of the birds. That's our restaurant name.
Oh, I would not eat there.
Why not?
That does not sound appetizing.
Monkey of the birds?
I don't know what it means, and I'm kind of scared to walk in.
You know what? We don't want... If you don't want to walk in, we don't want your business.
Well, if I'm the owner, that's problematic.
No. We're the owner.
But I don't want to walk in.
Yeah, but you think the name of the restaurant is Chicken of the Sea.
Oh, okay.
And I lied to you, and it's actually Monkey of the Ducks.
Okay.
Or Monkey
No,
of the
the
Birds.
birds. Yeah, okay.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is he's like super into it and they're not. Oh, well, whatever. We already established. You already know what the film's about. It's an anti-Christmas movie.
All right. So if that's all you got, I don't have anything else to say, but I do want to talk about a few quotes from this movie.
Okay. Oh, so the fact that there is an animated introduction, is evident to it being an unreliable narrator.
Cartoons are real to me.
Yeah, well, your brain is. Your brain. Here we go. Your brain's big, Thomas,
Uh-oh.
and you know what that means.
Means I'm the best.
Sure. Maybe we can do a rewind.
All right, so I'm gonna talk about some quotes that I like. My favorite one, like none of these I remembered.
Which, let me just say, we never talked about the neighbors, but sorry, continue.
Who needs them?
Yeah.
I've never seen my neighbors bring in groceries, so they don't eat. They're dead.
Like here?
No, that's a thing. Have you ever in your life seen your neighbors bring groceries inside?
And I'm sure I have.
That's apparently no one has.
I'm sure.
That makes sense though, because like you would have to be like sitting on your porch waiting for them to.
No. I'm sure I have.
Okay. Well, anyways, at one point Clark says, "Hallelujah, holy shit, where's the Tylenol?" And I just think that's
Where's
really
that
funny.
at?
I don't know. But I thought that was really funny.
Okay.
And then later, at the end, the mom says, "I'm sorry, this is our family's first kidnapping." That's pretty funny.
Bro, what a good line. Dude, she has her hands on his nuts the entire time. That
Sure she
entire
does?
conversation. Yeah, did you not see that?
No. I saw her like waving to somebody, being like, "Hi, nice to meet you."
No, yeah, her hands are on his nuts.
Uh-oh.
Then she waves and puts them back.
Oh no. She's got to protect the future progeny.
He already has progeny.
No, the future progeny.
Oh, there's more.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I wrote that at one point the mom says, "We're at the threshold of hell," which I wrote down. That might be the funniest thing anyone could possibly say at Christmas.
And the most accurate.
So
is that why? Well, because they say there's truth in every joke. So maybe,
Sure.
All right.
That was Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation.
Did you go on a vacation? Because they didn't. So this movie's title is a lie.
Christmas Vacation. Christmas Vacation. Christmas Vacation.
Because they didn't go anywhere.
Christmas Vacation.
All right, Jake, you want to talk about the fact that no one blew up?
Well, something did blow up, right?
Yeah, but no people.
Yeah, but something did.
Also, do you think that was a real squirrel?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because I think it was, except for when it's like on his back and he's running through the house.
Oh, no, that's not real there.
Yeah.
No, something blew up. What blew up? The lights?
There was no people.
Yeah, but something blew up.
Everything about the cat?
No, something blew up.
Yeah, the Santa at the end, the sewage drain.
Yes. So maybe no people, but I think a solid 2.
2, maybe 3. I could go up to a 3, I think. Oh, actually, what are our rules?
Well, 3 is one person blew up.
5 is like ready or not level.
Ready or
right?
not, yeah. 3 is one person. 1 to 2 people. People blew up. 4
what
is
did we give
people
How to Train Your
blew up.
Dragon?
Dude.
That was like 5 days
let us
ago
know.
for us.
Let us know what we gave How to Train Your Dragon. #Al Pacino.
All right, so I think it should be slightly above or slightly below that.
It's gonna be slightly below.
Either way,
it's gonna be slightly below because there are more explosions for sure in How to Train Your Dragon. I'm saying a 2.
Okay,
I'm sticking with that because although nobody exploded, there were explosions. So we can't give it a 3, but we can't give it a 1, or we can't give it less than a 1.
Right.
I think right in the middle is 2.
How much should we give Whammy Zammy? Do you know?
Like a 1.
Okay,
But also, there was also a small explosion.
More than that.
Yes.
Well, that's why I was asking. I think it's more than that. All right. So I guess the 2, Christmas Vacation, not the worst.
Not good, but not the worst.
No. What are the worst ones so far?
Shrek.
I think
all the Shreks. Friday the 13th.
I think
was bad.
Shrek the 4th. Well, no, because Baba or the goose blew up.
Yeah. Maybe Shrek 2.
Yeah, I don't know. I campaigned hard for that one because of the bubbles, but you weren't having it.
Yeah.
But then also the Step Brothers. I think that was pretty low.
Yeah.
Let us know if you want to go back and listen to the ones that don't sound that great and tell us. Or maybe they all don't sound that great. I
Who
don't know.
knows?
Hopefully, we'll get mics for Christmas because our parents love us. You hear that?
That's not what Christmas is about,
Parents?
Thomas.
Love or mics?
Mike's.
Could be.
Although, I bet Mike celebrates Christmas in a big way.
Which mic? The film teacher mic?
Yeah, Prius Mike.
I mean, he's got a big beard, so
He does. Whoa, is Mike Santa? I'm going to heal him right now. Are you Santa?
So,
do you think he'll respond to me if I say that?
Probably block you.
I hope not.
He'll blacklist you from all the film classes.
Dang.
Because you know too much.
Oh, yikes.
You don't ask Santa
Mike,
if
you're Santa, let us know. Hashtag
Mike
Al
doesn't
Pacino.
listen to this.
You don't know that.
Is that it? Is it time for you to tell the people what we've been telling them
yes.
all episode, but incorrectly?
Twitter, Pacino Pod.
At Pacino Pod.
At Pacino Pod on Twitter. I mean, we've already told you a bunch of stuff to say, so just go say that, And if you want to email us, pacinopodcast@gmail.com. Movie recommendations, if you think we're stupid. Basically, anything longer than, how many? 140 words?
I think it's at 180 now.
Anything longer than 180 words, email us.
Which, did you see Twitter added like stories?
Stories,
but they're called fleets.
Fleets?
Yeah. What the heck kind of name is that?
A fleet is like a fleet of cars.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with Twitter?
Maybe. Oh,
is that a sound a bird makes?
It's fleeting. The story is fleeting, only lasting for 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
Just like my
That's
mind
dumb.
during this entire podcast. I don't remember what we talked about.
This one specifically, or just all of them?
It's just in general.
Okay.
Because I remember right now. I remember what we said, but as soon as we hit stop, I'm not gonna remember.
I don't remember what we said really.
Well, we basically said the same thing. Over
I know
and over
we
again
said
in different ways.
Big is bad,
Small is good. You hear that, women, ladies?
Okay, enough about that. No more fornication for this episode. Sounds sauerkraut.
Yeah, mom and dad. Sounds sauerkraut. Christmas vacation. 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 No!